All right, neutralization reactions. So you're gonna and all the way in the back with the mask on. There is no way I'm understanding anything that you're saying, baby.
What's the word right next to the reaction?
Between. All right. The first thing I want to make sure that you understand that you may not remember from the video that we watched, that y'all watched a week ago, is what a base is. Gentlemen, I want to not tell you guys to stop talking over me ever again. That just seems kind of like a basic thing, but I kind of don't want to do it anymore. All right. These three things are bases. What do they all have in common? Hydroxide. So all bases have hydroxide. So a neutralization is a double replacement reaction that has an acid and a base before the arrow in the reactants. You'll know it's an acid how? What do acids look like? Start with H. Good. How are you going to know it's a base? OH, hydroxide. Good. So if it's an acid and a base on the left before the arrow, it's called a neutralization reaction. So you're going to have to do that on the test. You're going to have to be able to look at a bunch of reactions and tell me which one is the neutralization one. Okay. Now, the cool thing about neutralization reaction is they always make water. So once you decide that you've got a neutralization, you can draw your arrow, write water, and then the only thing you have to do is figure out what this last thing is. So that's what we're going to do now. So here's the example. Write the balanced chemical equation for the reaction between sulfuric acid and sodium hydroxide. Lauren? All right. Now that you have it written down, I want you to write down the chemical formula for sulfuric acid and sodium hydroxide. So I want you to write down the chemical formulas for sulfuric acid, then plus sodium hydroxide. This is going to help you practice for tomorrow. Sulfuric acid. We did the practice over acid reading yesterday, so we'll definitely. All right, sulfuric acid. Marcella, you awake, baby? All right, is this binary or ternary? How do you know it's ternary? Because there's what? How do you know? How do you know? I just see words here. I don't see numbers. How do I know that I'm looking at a ternary acid? No, right here. This one. How do I know if it's binary or ternary? It doesn't have hydro, so it's ternary. So you're not looking at just sulfur, you're looking at a polyatomic. All right, now acid says that it starts with H, right? H is always a +1. Sulfuric must have come from sulfate, which is SO4 with a -2. So what's my balanced chemical equation going to be? Very good. So do you see how the first thing you got to do is decide if it's binary or ternary, so you know that if you're looking at a polyatomic or just an element. Okay. Now we've done sulfuric acid. Let's do sodium hydroxide. Na +1, and then OH is -1.
So it's just the same. Cancels out.
So do you see now? NaOH. Are you good? Stop me if you're not good with those two parts. Uh-huh. All right. Now here comes the little bit more difficult part. What do neutralizations always make? Water. So go ahead and write your water. And then this is what I do. In my head, and I guess you could do it like on your notes, but you really shouldn't leave scratch outs in your final answer. In my head, I'm like, all right, I can get rid of, hang on, let me word. Where did the hydrogen and the oxygen come from? It came from here, and it came from here. And so what I do is I kind of mentally cross off the hydrogen of the acid and hydroxide on the base. Because then that lets me focus on just putting what's left together. And that's going to give me the full balanced chemical equation. So I've got to put these two things together over here. Which one has to come first, the positive one or the negative one? Always the positive. And this is a really big way that students mess this up. They just stick them together without putting the positive one first. The positive always comes first. Well, sulfate is a -2, right? So that's not going to come first. That's going to come second. And then hydrogen is a positive. Make me remember your name this early. What's wrong with you? All right, so sulfur is a +1. Excuse me, sodium. And then sulfate is a -2. So you got to check those charges and write the correct chemical formula. What's it going to be? Yes. Yes.
Where did the 2 come from?
Because sulfur, or sulfate, excuse me, has a -2.
Oh,
And so you need 2 sodiums to balance it out.
okay.
Why did we get rid of the H on the other side?
Okay, you didn't get rid of it.
You just
It transmuted, it changed the hydrogen and the hydroxide changed into water.
oh, okay.
They kind of combined together. Now, you'll notice that the numbers don't add up. So what do we have to do now to make sure that they add up? Balance it with coefficients. This is the part that I'm not going to require you do on the test, so I don't want you to stress out about it. But let's see, I need 2 of these and that gets that balance. Oh, and 2 of these and that gets that balance. If that part stresses you out, don't worry about it. You're not going to be tested over that part. Okay, let's do 2 off of your worksheet together so it'll be faster. Let's do number 1 together. Okay, is this a neutralization reaction?
Yes.
It's got an acid and it's got a hydroxide.
Yeah.
Everybody okay with that? Because you're going to have to do that on the test. Speak up now if you need me to point that out. Acids always start with H and bases always have OH. So this one is the acid and then the other one's the base. All right. So if this is a neutralization reaction, what's the first thing I write? Boom. And that's going to take care of this hydrogen and this hydroxide. Are you okay so far? Now we bond what's left, potassium and sulfate. Which one is going to come first, the potassium or the sulfate? Because it's positive. Good. All right, so now you've got to check your charges. Potassium is a +1, sulfate is a -2. So what am I missing?
You're missing 2 of that.
K2, and then 1 SO4. Erase your scratch outs if you put them on there. And then balance it. I need 2 of these and 2 of those, and I'm good. Okay, stop me if I went too fast. You need me to back up and hit something. You need me to explain something. Yeah, baby.
The last part.
The balancing it.
Yeah.
If that stresses you out, don't worry about it. I'm not going to test you over that right now. I want you to be able to get the water and the other thing by yourself. Can you do that? Okay, then you'll be great. You'll be fine. Okay. Last one. Carbonic acid and strontium hydroxide. This is number 5. I want to see if you can get the 2 chemicals that it starts with. You have to be able to do this tomorrow, so I want to see if you can do it. So I want you to write the chemical formula for carbonic acid, and then I want you to write the chemical formula for strontium hydroxide. Oranging. We should do these two baby. All right. I've been glaring at you this whole time. Glaring, Elijah. Glaring. It's fine. It's fine. Carbonic acid. Okay. It's an acid, so it starts with H. So go ahead and write your H with a +1 charge. Carbonic. Okay, well, now wait a minute. Is this binary or ternary? Ternary, so it's going to have a polyatomic. So you got to flip over your polyatomic chart, look on the back, and you're not looking for carbonic. What are you looking for? Carbonate. Carbonate. Because it came from 8, yeah? I ate some egg and got tummy ate us. So carbonate is CO3 with a -2 charge. So my balanced chemical formula for carbonic acid must be H2CO3. Stop me if I went too fast or if you spent the break on your phone and weren't thinking at all. All right, strontium hydroxide. This one's hard. I hope everybody was able to get it, but I bet some of you struggled with it because strontium is a +2. Hydroxide is always a -1. So what's going to be weird about this one? Okay, let me ask you this. Is this the right answer?
No.
Okay, but why? Why do I need parentheses? Okay, check this out, guys. Look here. Let me erase this so it doesn't distract you. What is the difference between this top and the bottom?
Wow, there's just 2 hydrogens, 2 H's, and there's top one and the bottom.
The top one what? Has what?
2 H's.
Just 2 hydrogens, not 2 hydroxides. So if you're going to need another if you're going to need another subscript on a polyatomic, you have to put that polyatomic in parentheses. So you can't forget about that one. I know it's easy to forget about. And so that top one's not right. I needed parentheses around it to make it right. Boom, now it's right. Okay, so since this is a neutralization, the first thing I want to write on the other side of the arrow is H2O. That came from those hydrogens and those hydroxides. So now I just need to stick together that carbonate and that strontium. Yeah. Okay, if you're going to need another subscript on your polyatomic, it has to be in parentheses. See, look here. I needed another subscript. I needed another subscript. Here I didn't need another subscript because it was just a 1. You're welcome. All right, so now I'm going to put together the strontium and the carbonate. What am I going to write first? The positive one, which is the SR, right? All right, so look what I'm doing up here. I've already written it down. So I'm going to put together this and this. The strontium and the carbonate. Well, they're both 2s. So does that mean I need 2 of them? I need 2 each, is that right? Why isn't that right? Is it this? Whoops. Is it pink? Or is it green? Pink or green? What do you think? You like pink?
I think green is.
You think green is it? Green. Because you don't need 2 of each. They already cancel each other out. Look, this one's a positive 2, that's a negative 2. They already cancel each other out. You don't need 2 of each, you just need 1 of each.
Why does it say OH and not C?
Yeah.
Why is it? Oh,
Yeah.
because I'm an idiot.
Oh,
No wonder y'all were so confused.
It was also C.
I blame her because she walked in and I got distracted. And so it's her fault. SRCO3 or SR2CO3 2.
Very good.
Pink?
Yeah.
Pink. Sorry, guys. I really, though, think that Sydney should apologize. Honestly. So distracting. Okay. Now, one thing I want to remind you before I let you practice is this. Ladies, what? You're the one that's over there flipping out, and I'm in the middle of trying to teach you something, and you don't even care.
We're talking about early graduation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
All right, we'll abuse her in a minute. Hang on, we need to learn this. All right. What does that Roman numeral 3 mean?
That's how many charges
It's a 3 charge on the iron. Heads up, you're going to forget this. So that means you have Fe plus 3 hydroxide negative 1. Good. FeOH3. So be careful with those. I told you. You over there.
I would have been like that anyway.
If you see a Roman numeral, remember it's the charge of the previous one. All right. You have the rest of the class period, and everybody's been able to finish because I did 2 of them with you. And so, the key is up here.
Why did you give it back to me?